What's up, Bully Appers? It's your girl Hannah here again on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a blessed day. I literally cannot believe we're already in the third week of November. Before you know it, like I say every week, it's going to be December and then the new year. But until then, it's another week, it's another day, it's another opportunity for you to be in the best shape, in the best health of your life. And that's why we're here at OliApp, to help encourage you and inspire you to take reign of your health, one drop, one supplement, one day at a time. And to do that, I figured, what's a better way? Who's a better person to talk about that than our own Jim Bob Haggerton? You know him, you love him, we know him and love him. And so I wanted to bring him on this week and next week to talk about two different topics. One is going to be a little bit of his journey and talk about who he is, what he does, and a lot about the digestive system. And then next week being Thanksgiving, I figured, listen, we're all going to eat too much. We're all going to eat food we normally don't eat. So how we can best support our digestive system during that week as well. So with all that to say, I'm going to bring in Jim Bob now. Hey, JB, how are you doing today?
Hey, Hannah, thanks for having me on. Yes, as a staff, I mean, like what Hannah said, our whole focus is in giving you things, giving you direction, giving you ideas, giving you wisdom on how to help your body do its job, like do what it's created, period. So a little bit about me. I mean, a lot of people know who I am, but the ones that don't, my background, from Texas, but my background is, my wife and I are both chiropractors, and we've been chiropractors for, gosh, I'm going to date myself. This will be my 19th year this coming year. So we've been 19 years in practice, and our whole focus has been on function and wellness, and taking people from point A to point Z in full circle healing instead of just focusing on the physical. So, we've done a lot of stuff over the years, and we're introduced to Young Living 14 or 15 years ago. Wow. We actually had a patient that came into the office and was like, we use essential oils for functional neurology, like doing some balancing stuff, but we would tell everybody, hey, it doesn't really matter what oil you get. You're just using it for the neurological aspect. Just go get an oil somewhere and don't worry about where you get it. And she came in and she was like, it matters, and she's like, quality matters, which it did on everything else. This just wasn't, we just didn't research it. So she brought us the oils. We started using them. Long story short, we didn't start actually using them with every single patient or recommending them or building a team and doing it full time for another 6.5, 7 years. And then once we jumped in because of some, personal just experience we had with our own kids, we never look back and use them on every single protocol. And it's just a part of the protocols, from, movement to nutrition, to diet, to essential oils, to this, it's one of the cogs in the wheel that we use with everyone because they're so effective. So, and then fast forward all those years later, we're here and we get to educate on it and teach people and lead them in all these different things. So, so in OliApp, we are huge on teaching you how the body works and how the different systems in the body work. Because our whole thing is, and my whole focus for all these years has been, if people really understand how the body works, people are smart, like people are genuinely want to do well, like they want to do what they're supposed to. Like the majority of people, you've got boneheads that don't want to do what you say. You've got people that are like going to actively try to make themselves not well. There's those idiots out there for sure, but that's not the majority of people. Like majority of people want to be healthy. They want to be happy. They want to have joy in their life. They want to think clearly. They want to go to the bathroom every day. You know what I mean? Like people don't want to be constipated for a month. That's not normal. That's not a normal person.
No one wants to be constipated.
Yeah. No one wants to be constipated and have stomach cramping over Thanksgiving. That's not a normal human being. So since the majority of people want to be well, if you can teach them how the body is created and teach them how the body works, then generally speaking, most people will go, oh, well, that makes sense. Then I can do A, B, C, D, right? And really follow the direction. Now, there's always a select few people, and I'll totally say this as just a disclaimer, there's a 10 to 15% of the population that's not good enough, and you do need more testing, or you need, you need to talk specifically and do some consulting, or you need to see a doctor about specific things, obviously.
Yep.
And so we obviously don't discount that and don't, negate that or don't discourage you from going that extra route. But for the majority of people, there are simplistic things and there's principles of the way the body's made, to where if we are feeding the body the way it needs to be fed and we're doing the things the body needs to be done, then it is created to heal itself. It's created to do what it's supposed to do. Exactly. And so that's, really what we talk about a lot with all of these systems and stuff. And that's what we're talking about with the digestive system, right? So And this whole month is digestive system focused. And so last month we talked about, or the month before, we talked about immune system. But this month we're talking about digestion. And Hannah, the thing that's interesting to me about digestion, I talked about this on one of the courses I did, but digestion has a huge impact on multiple systems in the body. I mean, not that everything's not connected. I mean, it is, but like you could take, certain systems and really work on them by themselves. And it doesn't have necessarily as overarching a reach in every single other part of the body. But digestive system, I mean, you've got a huge impact as far as like a third of your immune system is found in the digestive system. I mean, the majority of your immune system is found in the gut.
Which no one knows that, by the way. Like,
yeah, I mean, you would think they do. I mean, like, I part of my biggest downfall, and I say this all the time, is that I assume that once people have heard things a couple times, or if I've said them multiple times, or whatever, that people get it. Like they go, oh yeah, like your gut has a huge impact on immunity.
Yeah,
but they don't. Like people really don't understand it, and I think they go, oh okay, yeah, stomach, burger, sick, and they don't connect, or food allergy, inflammation, gluten, sick.
Sure,
like they don't connect all the dots all the way down. And so it doesn't draw this really direct correlation with people. But it is a real thing. I mean, immunity and gut is really closely related. The other thing that's closely related with gut is nervous system function. And so the entire ability of your brain to function, the entire ability of your nervous system to operate is largely controlled, or at least affected by gut health and how healthy your gut is. So if the gut is totally inflamed, if you have you can't be mentally fully healthy and eat complete crap and have an unhealthy gut. It just doesn't work, because the gut and the brain is really totally connected. And I'll be talking about that even on a little bit more on live stuff on social media today or this week. So that's a huge effect. But then the third part of just the fact of like, hey, if your gut isn't working well and you eat a banana, you're not getting all out of the banana you need. You're not going to get all that potassium. It doesn't matter. Like Hannah can go to a CrossFit competition, eat a banana and eat all this stuff, and it doesn't do jack because she has leaky gut and she's not absorbing and breaking down food, and her acid's out of balance. And she's so stressed out that she, isn't operating well. And she's got, what I'm saying? Like there's so many different things that affect that. So gut is unique, in a sense. It's not, strictly garbage in, garbage out. It's not strictly, hey, what you eat is what you are kind of thing. It has a lot more overreaching things to it than some of the other systems, for sure.
I think that's so true. And something, like I've thought about the last couple of months as we've done these podcasts is, and something you said at the beginning was so true, is that people want to do well, and they do. I think one of the biggest things I've realized over the last couple of months is the lack of education out there, like the lack of knowledge people have. And it's not that they don't want to do well, it's that they don't know. And I think a lot of it has
I think it's more, it's not a lack of education out there. It's a lack of knowledge because of a lack of understanding of people and a lack of knowing where to go. Like actually, I would have said back when we first got into practice almost 20 years ago, there was a lack of education out there. Like there was no social media, like that hadn't even been created yet. There was no education online. There was hardly any websites. Dr. Mercola was one of the only doctors teaching on natural healthcare online at all. And it was all word of mouth, inside offices, one person at a time, one class at a time, and that kind of thing. And there was a lack of education. Now, though, I would say, and so people didn't know what to do because they just didn't. There was hardly any books out there about nutrition or anything. Like there was literally like, you could go to the bookstore and there was like 5 to 10 books on this that weren't like done in the 60s and, wrong, kind of thing. So there wasn't much out there. Fast forward though, 2 decades later, there is so much information out there, and there are so many websites and so many memberships and so many practitioners and so many things and so many apps and so many newsletters and so many websites, or so many things, that I think that we have a lack of understanding and a lack of knowledge for the complete opposite reason. Because there's a huge focus from the medical system on you not understanding how the body works. Like they don't want Hannah Stevens to understand how her body works, because if she trusts her body, understands how her body works, and knows how to naturally support her body, the chances of her needing extra medical care, like medication, surgery, all those things, goes down a massive percent. Like that it becomes unnecessary.
Exactly.
And unless there's something massively wrong. So there is a huge, they have a huge vested interest in keeping people ignorant. So what has happened is over the last 2 decades, not only is there hundreds or thousands of practitioners that are smarter than me and better teachers than me and have better research than me, all this stuff, or than us in Oily App, there's a ton of stuff out there.
Yeah.
The thing is on top of all of those people and people not knowing who to trust, and not knowing, or not even understanding it or not even getting into it and knowing where to go, then you've got the other side that's flooded the market with education the other way. And there is so much for every video or teaching or paper or research or anything that you can put up for something good, you can pull up 5 against it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's on purpose. Because companies that make medication don't want you to understand that licorice root is super helpful for adrenal health. Yeah. So then what you do is you don't have to tell them that licorice root doesn't work. You don't have to tell them that Endoflex blend is bad for them. You don't have to do that. You don't have to build that. All you have to do is write a paper over here that's the opposite and just confuse people. Because there is a real deal to the analysis paralysis. It's the same reason why, people go to Netflix and not know what to watch because there's 4,000 videos on there. Exactly. Or they'll go to the car dealership, and this is why people buy cars online. They don't want to go to the car dealership and have a guy standing over them and they're looking and there's 18 colors of the same car. And they're like, I don't know. And they freeze. Well, that's all stuff that's not going to affect them health-wise, and it couldn't have a massive effect on their life. Whether you pick a blue Toyota Corolla or a red one has no bearing on how healthy you're going to be after at all, right?
Yeah.
But whether or not they ingest, peppermint oil, 2 drops of peppermint oil, or 52 drops of peppermint oil, or not at all, or whether they do something health-wise, that has a huge effect. And so all you have to do is just create confusion, a little bit of doubt. And if they go, well, like years ago is a perfect example, and this ties right in. And so, people learning about this, and this is why we're so passionate here in simplifying things and teaching people how the body works. Years ago, probably, let's see, if we've been 6, 8, it was probably close to a decade ago.
Wow.
There was a blog that came out, and all the title said was, because titles are clickbait on everything, it said essential oils cause seizures in kids.
Wow.
That's it. And it was written by a naturopathic doctor up north. And then it went down and she talked about this different stuff. And then there was 4 research articles that were linked. And there it says, here's the research studies that prove that stuff.
For sure.
Well, and so we had patients coming in going, man, I'm never using essential oils on my kids again, even though their kids were getting massive results. And I was like, why? And they said, well, you saw that article. It said essential oils cause seizures in kids. And I go, has your kid has a seizure with essential oils? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, do you know any kids that have had seizures? Well, no. Have you ever seen a kid online, any friends of yours, any relation at all has ever had a seizure, or an adult with essential oils? They're like, well, no. I'm like, then why do you think that article is true for your kid?
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, so I go into that article. I did a whole teaching on that one article, because the 4 or 5 research articles they had, there was only one article out of all of them that had anything to do with kids at all. The others were all adults. Most of them were epileptics, already had seizures, or were on massive medications, or something happened. The only one that had to do with kids was one on these kids, and it didn't have any information on what company they had used. And it said that this one kid had ingested a massive amount, which basically meant at least a full bottle of fennel oil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was just and it was like this certain thing, and this kid had a reaction to it. So all of that to say, there's so many things out there that people just don't know. So, like when you go back to the gut, that's the same thing. They're like, okay, is gluten healthy? Is it not healthy? Mm-hmm. Is this good? Do essential oils really help with gut? Is gut really that important to immunity? Is it not? I mean, over here they say the gut-brain connection is real. Over here they say it's not. And so people go, screw it, I'm going to go to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Screw it, I'm going to take my antibiotic and I'm just going to stick my head back in the sand and go to work because they're busy. I'm just going to disconnect and do the thing. Yeah. And so we just encourage you not to do that. Our thing was no, the body is created perfectly and specifically and intentionally And if you do specific intentional things with it, it will work the way it's supposed to.
Exactly.
And it can heal, and I would say that's the thing, Hannah, like the other thing, that we tell people all the time is just because you have something going on doesn't mean that that's your story forever. Like that doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be forever. And I think people get really tied into like, oh, well, I've got irritable bowel syndrome, or I've got, ulcerative colitis, or whatever name they want to put to stuff. And that's just me. I mean, I'm going to have that forever. And that's not truth. And that's not reality. The body's made to heal. And so it's just learning what's going on, understanding the function of the systems or the way the body is, and then doing the things it needs to help it reset.
So Jim Bob, thank you so much for being here today. I literally am so excited the fact that you're going to just be a regular face and voice on this podcast, because you have so much knowledge and so much passion, and we need more people like you in this community. So all that to say, we're going to conclude this episode of the Oleap podcast. Once again, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Super simple. Oleap. I know. Super simple. And make sure you follow us there. We have tons of awesome information all week and a lot of fun giveaways as well. So for Hannah, for Jim Bob, thank you so much for being a part of Oleap. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and we'll be back next week.
Bye, guys.